All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome once again to our lectures for today. If we've treated almost every aspect of IELTS, all the modules, we've treated the reading, the writing, both tax 1 and 2, and listening. So we'll be closing on speaking, which is one of the most easiest and the kind of test that has the lowest timeline, in the sense that the speaking only takes at most 14 minutes and you are done. More of a one-on-one interview where you are asked questions and you, the students or candidates of the test, get a chance to answer these questions. And this is where you have to demonstrate your English to the examiner, that you know the language, you know how to use it, and you have the ability to communicate effectively. All right. So that's all about your speaking. You're trying to show the examiner that you have the ability to speak fluently, good pronunciation, and with good lexical resources alongside very good grammar, because grammar is one aspect where um, you are scored on. So let's take a look at the general overview. As I said earlier, the test will take between 11 and 14 minutes. So you get into the exam hall, they check you in, and by 15 minutes time, trust me, you'll be working out. However, within that 15 minutes is your opportune window, the opportune time for you to demonstrate to the examiner your knowledge and your aptitude when it comes to speaking the language. All right. Now, speaking is quite robotic. By robotic, I mean that uh, you have three parts, and there are certain things or certain questions that are being asked within these three parts. And the goal here is to get a key and fundamental understanding of how these three parts are, what happens in each of these three parts, and how do you go about answering questions for these three parts. Remember, the key here is to practice more, to get familiar with how each part is, how to go about it with ease. All right. And trust me, you'll be going through all these parts together, and at the end you get to fathom that it's quite easy, and trust me, you can do it. If you want a 9.0 in speaking, trust me, you can get it. However, most of us are aiming, or most of you guys are aiming for the 7 and above, and using the structure and the sequence of answering these questions, you get above that mark. All right. Okay, so let's look at the scoring criteria, or the aspects that a candidate will be scored on. I think I have mentioned this earlier, that you'll be assessed on your fluency and coherence. You will delve much deeper into that. That's constitute 25% a fourth of your entire speaking score. Your pronunciation, that is how clear you are. Are you able to pronounce the words clearly, or you find it quite challenging in giving out the words, or you mispronounce them? Okay, that's the pronunciation. You have the lexical resources, that is your ability to pull out vocabulary from your own dictionary. I mean, you're looking at the number of diction that you have, the vocabulary that you have, how effectively are you able to use these vocabulary and words to talk about the type of questions that you'll be asked. All right. And if you want to build your vocabulary, there is a nice way of building vocabulary where you get a chance to read more, listen more, jot down most of the words that you haven't seen before. And if you have those words, find their meaning and just try and use them to form sentences. That's an effective way of um, improving your vocabulary if you think that you are having certain lack or inadequacies as to that part of the scoring criteria. All right. Now, you also have the grammar. Okay. So your ability to speak devoid of grammatical errors is one thing that you'll be scored on, and that constitutes another 25% of your total marks. So fluency and coherence, what are they looking out for? What is the examiner expecting of you? All right. So the examiner poses a question to you, and to increase or to get the full marks of fluency and coherence, you need to speak smoothly without long pauses. Okay, so you don't speak one, two, you stop for a couple of seconds before you continue. That one will decrease your fluency score. All right. Secondly, you have to produce new information whenever you try to speak. Now, new information doesn't mean that try and get a whole different thing to say each and every time. You can do that, and that's smart. However, there's a nice way of doing it. If you find yourself that you might be repeating something, just try to paraphrase it in a whole new language. All right. Okay. At that point, you are demonstrating your ability to speak. They are not judging you, as in your ideas that you are presenting, even though it might be the same kind of idea that you are presenting. However, it is within a new form of a language. All right. As in you have paraphrased it and you are kind of saying it again. So you try as much as possible not to repeat yourself, as in using that same sentence structure like multiple times or trying to state one same thing over and over again. All right. That one will decrease your coherence score. So don't do much repetitions. All right. Now, link your ideas using fluency markers. I think fluency markers are one of the easiest ones to use. These are the however, fortunately, unfortunately, um, you see those kind of adverbial clauses, all right, and the adverbs, that conjunctive adverbs that we talked about within a writing task. Okay, if you have had opportunity to check out our writing task, just do, and it's really helpful. However, the fluency markers, I think it's part of this series, and you get to know more about them. So you use them, all right, and use them appropriately. You don't just throw them in anyhow. Make sure that as you are using it is appropriate and it fits the scenario and the case that you are using it. Okay, all right, let's proceed and let's look at pronunciation. So pronunciation, as I said earlier, is just to speak clearly. All right. And if you want to know that your speaking is actually clear, the best thing that you can do for yourself, and I always advise my students that just do it. Try and record yourself and speak. Speak to the microphone. All right. If you're able to speak to your microphone for a couple of minutes, record it, play it to your own hearing. All right. And if you know or you give it to someone else who just try and hear you out, the person can understand the words, can hear the words correctly. Trust me, your pronunciation is check. All right. So try as much as possible to read out loud, listen to yourself, and know how your pronunciation is. That's how you're going to sound during your exams. All right, good. Now, the lexical resources talk about the use of appropriate linking words, that's the fluency markers, your ability to use topic specific vocabulary. So, let me delve much into topic specific vocabulary. These are the type of words that you use that are associated with the kind of question that you have been asked. All right. So, if you, let's say, you've been asked about um, automated vehicles, okay, or driverless vehicles, and you are talking about it, okay, you there's a point where you can use the word automation. Algorithms are being used. You see, they are doing their own calculation, like manipulations and all that. So these are topic specific. Let's say you're talking about climate change. All right, so climate change, we know that if you have been asked climate change, you have to talk about global warming, this sea level rise. So these are specific to, okay, climate change. So you don't tend to use different words to describe these kind of things. They are specific vocabulary that are associated with these kinds of topics, and that's what we entreat students to use. Okay, that one will help you. Now we have phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are somewhat simple. We use it in our everyday language, and sometimes we don't even take cognition of it, in a sense that you just use it and we just take it as normal. As part of our platform, there is a whole list of phrasal verbs that you can check out and their meaning. All right. So there are words like uh, keep it up, like kind of keep up with me. Can you keep up with me? Keep up. You get it. So these are just short verbs, verbs that we use that have um, other meanings to it. Okay, so do well and check out the list of it. You can employ it within your speaking, and it will be very much helpful. Now, the last one that I would like to talk about is paraphrase. 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 I've repeated that 3 times. It means I am accentuating on it, in a sense that if the examiner gives you the question, do you like? You don't go like, yes, I like. You just paraphrase. I am keen on, I'm fond of, okay, I love this. Okay, you can be frank, I dislike something. That's it. Okay, so your ability to paraphrase will show the examiner that yes, you have great control over the language, and that one will just increase your score dramatically. All right, and it will get you more than the six, more than the seven that you're looking for. Okay, now try as much as possible to create a chance to use idioms, and make sure that the idioms that you are using are appropriate and they fit the situation within which you are using these idioms. Idioms are good if you're able to use it. It just pump up your score because it shows that you know how to use it. The goal of the speaking is to show the examiner that you know how to do something, you know how to speak. You know idioms, you know phrasal verbs, you know how to paraphrase, you get it, you know how to use linkers, you know how to use topic specific vocabulary. All right, so your ability to demonstrate to them will give you the score that you need. So if you do not show any sign of putting in the effort to indicate to them that you know, they will assume that you don't know. Meanwhile, you know it, just that you didn't do it during that space of 11 to 14 minutes that you have been given. So I always urge my students, just create the opportunity to use idioms appropriately. Make sure the idiom fits, okay, fits the situation that you are using it. Let's say you are talking about shopping and price of shopping. Okay, you can use an idiom. Oh, people end up paying through the nose. What does it mean? Pay through the nose means like kind of pay a heavy price for something. All right. So make sure that it's appropriate for the context that you are using it. Okay, let's look at grammar. So grammar talks about the tenses that you use. Make sure that they are good enough. In fact, you shouldn't be asked something within the past and you are using the present or future tense to describe it. Like, that's ridiculous, right? Okay, so try as much as possible to use the best tense based on the question that you will be asked. All right. If it's a past question that you have, did you enjoy doing, let's say, watching television? You know that it's in the past, so you'll be answering in past, in the past tense. All right. Yeah. So just make sure that you present the good things within the question or pair the question that you have been asked. If it's present continuous or perfect, or if you're using the participles and all that, go for it. All right. And make sure to use your articles correctly. Okay. So the and okay, and you see, these are the articles in English, and there are some places where they are required, and there are other places that um, they may not be used. Okay, so be conscious of it and know how to use it effectively. Last that we'll talk about is your subject verb agreement. Okay, this is one thing that causes a lot of issues. Plural subject, plural verb. Okay, and some of the verbs will come with s at the end, showing that they are singular because the subject is singular. So if you don't take good care of it as you are speaking, you may end up missing the s's, and you may end up saying certain s's at the end of the verb. Meanwhile, the subject might be plural. All right. So just be conscious of it. That's why I'm here to alert you, prompt you that subject verb agreement is one thing that reduces the score, I mean your grammatical score when it comes to speaking. So be conscious not to make those mistakes. Okay, so there are some tips that you need to know. The fact is that if you prepare well, you come to terms with yourself and you know that you'll be ready for it. You know what the examiner expects of you in part one, part two, and part three. Okay, and you to know, you know what to expect. That in part one, we're expecting just normal everyday questions, which is easy to answer. Part two, you'll be expecting that they will give you a card that you use 1 minute to prepare and 1 to 2 minutes to speak continuously about that specific thing that you have been given. Okay, try as much as possible to use natural language and don't try to forcefully use an accent. Okay, IELTS doesn't mark accent. If you go back and take a look at the scoring criteria, there's nothing like accent. So just use your normal language, but make sure that your pronunciation is clear enough. That's the point. Okay, and there's things that people worry about, that the behavior of the examiner or the body language of the examiner. Probably the exam you are speaking, the examiner might not be looking at you, might be marking some things on um, the paper that he or she is holding, and some people end up being quite skeptical that are they marking me down or something. No, feel free and give your best, because that 11 minutes or 40 minutes maximum that you get is your window to show them. So just do it. Forget about eye contact if he or she It's not looking at you. Go ahead and just give it your all. Likewise, the quality of ideas. Okay, so sometimes you are asked the question, and now at a point in time, you don't get to think critically before you give the answer because they are expecting it. So at that point, you may be lacking ideas and you may come up with something. That doesn't mean it's wrong. They are there to assess your language. Okay, they are there to assess your language, not your ideas or the quality of the ideas. So your ability to speak the language nicely, okay, fulfilling all those four criteria for them, you are good to go. And don't worry about your presentation skills that, oh, I'm not a good presenter, I haven't presented before. No, it's not about going to present to someone. You are just interacting with someone. Someone is just quizzing you or asking you questions and you're just giving answers. So it's not about presentation. All right, so they are speaking essential. There are certain things that are quite imperative about your speaking that you need to know. And if you know it and you are conscious of it, it reduces your ability to make mistakes. Now, first and foremost, note that every single sentence that you give supposed to be a complete sentence. So ladies and gentlemen, make sure you are using complete sentences. Let me highlight this with my pen over here. Make sure to use complete sentences. You don't go there using this kind of WhatsApp replies that you give to people. No, go there and make sure that you have been asked a question, you are giving a complete sentence. Now, if you get to a point where you have to extend your answer by giving reasons, okay, um, let's say you are doing the interview questions in part one, or let's say part three, you have been asked a question, you need to give detailed um, information or reasons about it. There's a nice way of doing it. This is where you ask yourself these W kind of questions. That's why I call them. Okay, so you see why, where, how, who, what, when. Okay, so this one helps you to add more information. Let's say you have been asked to talk about um, where and how. Nonetheless, if you want to add more, you can add who was there, when was it, and why you were there. You understand? So this one will help you extend your answer, giving you a much more time to express yourself. Okay. Now you can switch between sentences. All right. Sometimes you might be given a question like, okay, do you love reading books? And you'll be like, um, currently no. However, in the past, I used to read books at my leisure time. Okay, so you are switching between sentences, the present and that of the past. You can switch to the future also. And there's this non-defined relative clause where you can use which, then you add extra information. I think we have treated this one within our writing. Yes, our writing. I think we've discussed these non-defined relative clauses. They are very, very good when it comes to giving extra information. Okay, so just be conscious of it and be sure to use it because it will help you extend your answers at points where you think you might not be having much to say and the time is kind of not fast spent, but you are kind of finished with the kind of answer that you are giving, right? So this one will be the thing that can take you out of that situation. Now, you can extend your answer by doing comparison. Okay, so if you are asked the question, do you prefer uh, eating continental foods to that of traditional foods, okay, or traditional cuisines? You can be like, if you are asked a preferred kind of question, you use rather. You say, oh, I would rather go for, then you give your answer to it. All right, so just learn this and be at peace, because they might ask you a question that's quite similar to this. Just trying to see whether you have the ability to discern and produce as a native, how a native speaker will go about answering these kind of questions. All right. Now, there's one thing that you have to note whenever you are being asked. Is the question about you or is about someone else? So who is the question about? Is it do you type of questions, or do people does something or do something? Okay, so you have to note whether it's about you or it's about others. That will help you with how to structure your sentences to answer such a question. If it's about you, you can go ahead and use I. If it's about other people, you know the kind of pronoun to use for them. Okay, now be aware of open and close-ended questions. Okay, if you are asked why, it's quite an open-ended question. So you can give reasons upon reasons upon reasons, extending your answer and just being so much detailed. However, if you are asked, do you, it's quite close, specifically to you. Do you do something? Do you do this? Do you love this? Do you like this? Do you hate that? Okay, how do you do this? Okay, so it's kind of close and it's pertaining to you. So your answers should be quite straightforward, specific, and if you have a little bit of explanation to it, you add it and you go your way. Okay, now some people kind of find it difficult um, when it comes to being confident. Probably they find themselves in an unfamiliar environment and they become a little bit nervous. Nervousness is part of the exam. You feel anxious. Okay, the anxiety will be there. Nonetheless, that shouldn't be of so much worry that it will dwindle your confidence. Remember, confidence is one thing that's very much needed. So your ability to answer the question with so much confidence and end with confidence shows that yes, you have control. You have control over the questions that are coming and you are answering them to the best of your abilities. So have confidence. Amid the um, anxiety that may be mounting or that may have mounted upon you before you enter the exam hall. All right, just have confidence that you can do it, and trust me, you will do it. Okay, so I advise students most of the times to practice, because practicing that will make you perfect. So at least within a week, if you are a worker or something, 3 to 5 times a week is okay. At least you practice recording yourself speaking to, right now we have mobile phones, WhatsApp. You just go in there, you pull up um the audio recorder, like a recording a voice, and you go ahead and you speak. You record yourself. You can listen to yourself speaking. You can find mistakes in there and you correct it going forward. All right. So if you practice consistently, That is a good habit which will help you stay consistent till you write your exams. All right. So just make sure that you practice, because practice that's gonna make you perfect. Going forward, there are certain relevant topics that you need. Okay, there are topics that you need to know something about, and these are the topics. These topics are mostly depicted or shown during your part two, because they will ask you to describe, let's say, an event, a person, or some people, your favorite something, an activity, a place, object, or sometimes something different from all of these, or a combination of something. Let's say your favorite object. Okay, so they can ask you something like this: favorite and maybe something. Okay, your favorite electronic gadgets. They can ask you that. Maybe your favorite person, maybe your favorite place. Okay, maybe your favorite activity or your favorite event that you have ever been to. Okay, so these are topics that you have to know things about, so that when you are asked, you don't find yourself wanting. You have ideas about these things already, so you can produce to the best of your abilities. Okay, and the last one here is what? Be calm, relax, and speak naturally. Okay, that shows that you are in control. All right, so let's take a look at some um, expressions over here. These expressions, you can use them during your speaking. So you can just pause the video and take note of them. All right. So nowadays, you can paraphrase to these days. I believe you are aware of that. And to show time and frequency. So I think you have heard of seldom before, rarely, hardly ever, sometimes, often, frequently, nearly, always, typically, normally. So these are expression of what? Frequency. How frequent you do something. Okay, how frequent you do something. And you can use this to express yourself if you are asked a question like, do you enjoy going to the cinema? Meanwhile, you don't go to the cinema most often. Or maybe you go in there once in a while. If it's once in a while, that's in frequency. Oh, I do this once in a while. And that question can even give you an opportunity to use an idiom. Oh, visiting the cinema, I do that once in the blue moon. That's perfect. Now just use an idiom, and that will help boost your score. All right. So your ability to get these questions answered using a variety of English components, okay, being it um, expressions of frequency or infrequency, or using idioms to answer the questions, will practically boost your score. Now let's look at the fluency markers as I said earlier. So we have however, honestly, you can say to be honest with you, I don't go to the cinema. To be honest with you, I don't enjoy watching television. I'm afraid I'm not interested in that activity. Okay. Unfortunately, this happened. Unfortunately, I'm not fond of it. Okay. Actually, that is not what happened in that day. This is the issue, then you proceed. In fact, this happened. Then you proceed and give whatever happened. Okay. As a matter of fact, so all these are fluency markers. As a matter of fact, it's kind of giving more like you are highlighting um, a specific thing. Okay, you can use but in the end. At the point where you are giving answers that are not 100% or concrete, okay, you can say, I suppose it will be this. Then you can give your reasons to back it. You can go, or I guess. You can say, oh, supposedly. All right. You can say, oh, probably, I guess, I think. All right. So these are fluency markers that you can sometimes use them as natural fillers, so that you will not be doing during the exams, because immediately you start doing that, it means you are trying to hesitate, and that one will affect your fluency score. All right, very good. Now, these are there are adverbs for giving opinions. Over here, you can use personally, frankly, to be frank, honestly is over here, typically, obviously, absolutely, like inevitably, surprisingly, predictably, like these. You can use them to give your opinion. If you say something is absolute, you know that what? It's concrete, 100%. Typically, something that you do it on kind of in a normalcy. Okay, very good. So these are the speaking essentials. Pause the video if you want to go back. Just go back and take a look at them, because every single thing that I have said here is important, and you might see it one way or the other during the examination. Okay, so you may end here.